The shooting that Mike Scott was reporting on of House Majority Whip Scalise, also two Capitol Hill police officers. All three appear to be in stable condition. This is NBC reporting. Mo Brooks, a congressman who was there when the shooting occurred, told CNN that the shooter was a white middle-aged male.
Mm-hmm. And then, according to another congressman, DeSantis, the shooter approached the field near the third baseline and asked him, are these Republicans or are these Democrats?
Doing this for however many weeks. The game's tomorrow night, and I actually left a little early, probably about a couple minutes before this all happened. And as I was getting into the car with one of my colleagues, Jeff Duncan, there was a guy that walked up to us that was asking whether there was Republicans or Democrats out there, and it was just a little odd. And then he kind of walked towards the area where all this happened. So we've told the police that.
Was he carrying anything?
He was not carrying anything at the time, but from where the shots were, I would think that would have probably been staged because there was no one that was obviously walking around with a rifle at the time. But it was just a little odd that he kind of really, walked up to us to ask, and then went ahead and it was probably like 5 minutes after we pulled out of the parking lot.
And part of it was reported, Mike Scott had this too, that part of Scalise's security detail, presumably one of those Capitol Hill officers, police officers, took down the shooter. He's in custody, not a threat, according to Alexandria Police, but he was shot as well, the shooter.
Right, and according to Senator Rand Paul, who was on the field, he's grateful to Capitol Police. He said had they not been there, it would have been a massacre. And right now, Scalise and two Capitol Police officers, they're all in stable condition at George Washington Hospital.
So I'll tell you what, I mean, I know, people are reticent to go there, but we're going to go there because the left opened up this Pandora's box long ago. And so the question that I would pose is, are we going to hear from the left the same climate of hate, blame shifting away from the shooter if Scalise and others at that baseball practice were targeted for their partisan affiliation, as Congressman DeSantis and Duncan seem to indicate based on the inquiry they received from the alleged shooter? Are we going to have the blame shifting, the climate of hate? Is that what we're going to hear from the left? Because that's what we hear in other circumstances, isn't it? It's certainly what we heard when Gabby Giffords was shot.
Oh, yeah. That Jared Loughner was some conservative Republican. You know what he was? He wasn't a Republican or a Democrat. He was just crazy.
Yeah. So we'll continue to follow this story and update the details as we get them. But the good news, as we understand it at this point, given the terrible news, is that Scalise and the two Capitol Police officers who were shot are in stable condition. All right, switching gears, let's talk a little public policy. And to help us do that, domestic public policy, not Russian collusion. To help us do that, we're pleased to be joined by CNN senior economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, former Trump advisor, man of many hats. He is Stephen Moore. Steve, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Good morning. By the way, I'm very close friends with Steve Scalise, so just very nervous about his condition, and prayers and hopes go out to him and his family.
Yeah, for sure. So Obamacare replacement. I mean, I see a Vox.com, left-wing website. Obamacare's in real danger. Yet I see that the Senate doesn't know what the details of the Senate proposal is going to be. Many senators don't. That's a headline in The Hill, a story in The Hill. And then, of course, the story yesterday from AP that Trump told senators the House bill that he supported is too mean, and that GOP senators need to nicen it up before they send it to conference and to his desk.
So I think the way to start this conversation is by going back to what we talked about 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago on the show, when I told you that Obamacare is now officially dead. I mean, it's not dead because of Donald Trump. It's dead because the system is in a complete state of collapse right now. Almost every other day, we hear of more and more insurance companies that are dropping out of the market. The news came out 2 days ago not by the Heritage Foundation or some right-wing organization, but by the Center Medicare that the insurance premiums have gone up 105% on average since between 2014 and 2016. So that's a doubling of the premiums. So the system it has to change, right? I mean, we can't continue with a system where the costs are out of control. People are losing their insurance. 1 out of 3 counties now in America have no insurance company left under the system. And the real question right now, Dan and Amy, is what direction do we go in? And the left basically wants a single-payer Canadian-style system where the government essentially runs the health insurance market. Or do we go with a system that's based more on free enterprise and competition and choice? And, I certainly hope we choose as a nation the latter because, we do have a government-run healthcare system in America today. It's called the VA system where people die in the hospitals. But this is a gut-check moment for the nation. And a lot of people, a lot of my liberal friends, look, as long as it's equal, even if everybody has equally crappy care, that's the system I want over something, where, rich people may get better quality of care than lower income people.
Well, how long do you think that this is going to take?
That's a great, that's a tough one, Amy. It really is. I mean, because, the last 6-8 weeks have been a complete distraction from, the public policy stuff that we want to get done. I mean, I've been concentrating 24/7 on getting this tax cut done, but, health care and tax reform have to get done this year, but they've been completely placed on the back burner as we, obsess over Comey and Russia and these other things. So I will say with high degree of confidence, though, that before the end of the year, Obamacare will be in large part repealed. Whether that happens before Labor Day or not, I can't say.
Is the Trump administration still committed to Obamacare replace before tax reform, number one? And number two, what does it mean if the AP report is true that Trump says the House bill is too mean and it needs to be nicer? What does that mean?
Well, that's just a reality. The Senate is going to come out. See, this is where I think that the conservatives made a mistake back at the beginning of the year. And, I'm as conservative as you can get. But the details of the House plan and taking that original plan down was a mistake because the Senate is going to write the law. The Senate is going to write the law. And here is why. There's only 52 Republican senators. It's just simple math. You're not going to get a single Democrat on either side of the aisle who's going to vote for Obamacare repeal. So it has to be, the heavy lift has to be done to fix this system with only Republican votes. And that means it's simple math. You can only lose 2 Republicans. And you've got a lot of, squished Republicans in the Senate who don't want to do much of anything. So you're probably going to get, I hate to say this, but I'm just being realistic, a pretty watered down bill that does repeal some elements of Obamacare, but keeps some of the other elements in place. Now, for example, on this issue of pre-existing conditions, there is going to be a new provision in the Senate bill that's very different from the House bill that's going to provide more protections with people with pre-existing conditions. It's just a fact. But what you have to do, though, is you have to allow people to buy insurance across state lines. You have to do something about more transparency in pricing so people know what they're buying when they go to the hospital and doctor's office. And you have to do something to allow cheaper, high deductible plans that are affordable to young people so they can actually buy insurance. Because young people, by the way, millennials listening to this show, you're the ones who get screwed by Obamacare. Obamacare raises your prices 2 or 3 times more than they should be.
On the issue of, just switching gears a little bit, this is an issue of particular importance to you. It's so important you wrote a book about it. That's American energy independence. We have some good news to report. You've got the first coal mine to open in many moons. This is the Acosta mine in Pennsylvania. In addition to that, you've got so far the active oil rigs in the U.S. tracking January 2010 to June of 2017. It was at its nadir shortly before, at the end of the Obama administration. 316 active oil rigs. That has jumped back up more than double to 741 from the end of Obama to present.
Wait. Give me the time frame for that. That's an amazing statistic. So can you say it again?
Yes, January 2010 to June 2017. From the Obama administration, like from 14 to 16, it drops precipitously from almost 1,600 to 316. Now it's back up to 741 in just the first 6 months of the Trump administration.
So look, as you know, I think, first of all, the climate change treaty was crazy for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America has more oil and gas and coal than any other country in the world. We have we're sitting on $50 trillion worth of oil, gas, and coal. So the idea of like, okay, everybody stop using oil, gas, and coal is ridiculous. It's like, telling people in Nebraska stop growing corn. We have a massive amount of this, and I was the one. I'm going to take a little credit here. I debated liberals all day long on CNN and these other shows, saying when Trump was like, "Oh my God, he's lying to the American people. The coal industry is never going to come back. We're never going to see the comeback of coal." Well, we're seeing it right now. You mentioned the coal mine that's reopening. There's also a 16% increase in production of U.S. coal just since Election Day. 16%, that's huge. By the way, we're using that. The world wants the coal because you need coal to have steel, right? If you want steel, you have to have coal. There's an old saying by one of my friends at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, and it's such a great one, I want to repeat it. You can build windmills with steel, right? But you can't build steel with windmills. People have to understand that. We're not going to have an industrial society with windmills and solar paneling. We're going to need coal and oil and gas. And the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, we have more of it now because of the shale oil and gas revolution than any other country in the world. And by the way, natural gas, the output of natural gas is up, hugely. And natural gas is the cleanest burning fuel out there. Why are the environmentalists aiming against natural gas?
I know. I'm going to leave that rhetorical question in that's form, rhetorical. Steve,
I think I can answer the question. I think we can get around this if we can just convince liberals like Nancy Pelosi. Remember, Nancy Pelosi said, "I like natural gas because it's not a fossil fuel." So maybe we can trick the liberals into that.
Redefine it. Yeah, I mean, the left redefines everything. Why don't we? All right. He is Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, senior economist for CNN. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys. Bye.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.